Back in the early 1900s, something started creeping through American cities. Not a plague, not a curse, just a quiet rot slipping under the door before anyone realised it had a name. It went for young women first, and it didn't let go once it got inside. They were fine 1 month, then by the next, teeth were falling out, jaws softening, bones turning to powder, like something had reached into them and started hollowing them out from the inside. Doctors made excuses, because excuses were easier than admitting they had no damn clue what they were looking at. They blamed hygiene, infections, unlucky accidents, anything that made the world feel orderly enough to sleep at night. Even though every chart and every corpse pointed to a pattern they couldn't scrub clean, nothing fit, and the silence around that truth was louder than any diagnosis. So the real question, the one everyone felt breathing down their necks, stayed unspoken. Something was eating these women alive, and nobody wanted to ask why it chose them. Grace Farrar grew up in New Jersey with steady hands and a spine that didn't bend easy, and when she walked into that watch plant at 18, she didn't see a trap, she saw a paycheck. It looked normal. Normal is the kind of lie that kills slowly. She sat in those bright production rows, elbows touching strangers, painting numbers so small they barely existed, and the foreman kept barking the same rule like it was scripture. Keep the brush tight, keep the line thin, keep your pace up. So the girls shaped the tips of their lips without thinking twice, and nobody questioned it, because questioning wasn't part of the job description. Grace did what everyone else did, kept her head down, kept her rhythm steady, kept the supervisors off her back. And the stuff in those little jars didn't look dangerous enough to earn a second thought. It glowed softly in the dark, and nobody in that room understood that anything glowing in the dark should probably be kept the hell away from your mouth. A year in, Grace feels a sharp sting in her mouth, the kind you ignore because life doesn't stop for a toothache. It should have been nothing. It wasn't. The dentist pulls the loose tooth and tells her it'll heal, but the socket just yawns wider, starts leaking, and the edge of her jaw turns soft in a way that makes even the dentist shut up for a second. He doesn't say it out loud, but he knows something's off. She starts hearing the same thing from the other girls. Teeth falling out in clusters, jaws hurting like they've been hit, infections crawling across their faces like they're being mapped by something with a grudge. Doctors throw guesses around, and every one of them dies the next time a new girl walks in with worse symptoms. By 1923, the factory had more sick girls than empty chairs, and everyone in town knew the pattern even if nobody wanted to spell it out. The company didn't flinch. Denial is cheap when you're not the one losing teeth. They brought in their own experts, men who'd never seen the inside of the damn plant but felt qualified to blame the women's hygiene, their teeth, their habits, anything except the place signing their paychecks. The reports looked official, the lies were obvious. Grace quit because she couldn't get through a day without pain, and the x-rays did nothing but confirm what she already felt. Parts of her were softening, breaking, shifting in ways bone shouldn't. No clear explanation, no real help. Harrison Martland walks into the case like he walks into most things, tired, unimpressed, and already expecting someone upstream to be lying through their teeth. And it takes him about 5 minutes to realise these girls aren't dying from anything as simple as incompetence or bad luck. He's seen bodies ruined 100 different ways. This one feels deliberate. He reads the company reports, the polished expert statements, the neat little excuses written by men who've never touched the problem they're describing, and you can practically see the muscle in his jaw twitch as he files each page under the same category. Bullshit. The expensive kind. So he stops listening and starts looking, takes a piece of bone into a dark room, sets it on photographic paper, and leaves it there overnight. Not out of curiosity, but because sometimes the only honest thing in a building is the corpse. In the morning, the paper is burned with a clean, bright shadow, and Martland doesn't celebrate. He just exhales like a man proven right in the worst possible way. Radium was the miracle of its time, the kind of discovery people bragged about without understanding a damn thing about it, and Americans ate it up like children handed a glowing toy. They brushed it on their teeth, they rubbed it on their skin. And inside the watch plant, the company mixed that same glow with zinc sulfide and gave it a name slick enough to trademark Undark, a paint that shined beautifully in the dark and kept its secrets even better. The ads made it sound harmless. The men in charge made it sound safe. Grace and the other girls used it because that's what the job required, and nobody explained that anything bright enough to glow for years doesn't go quiet once it gets inside you. The paint stayed where it landed, and sometimes it outlasted the people who used it. By 1927, Grace wakes up every morning feeling like her own bones are staging a mutiny, and she finally understands the truth everyone else tiptoes around. Whatever's killing her isn't slowing down and nobody's coming to save her. She's on her own, and the clock's been running since the day she walked into that factory. So she goes looking for a lawyer, not because she believes in justice, but because dying quietly feels like doing the company one last favour. Most lawyers don't even pretend to consider it. Big corporations have a way of turning grown men into furniture. Raymond Berry finally says yes in that slow, resigned way people talk when they know they're walking into a fight they can't win clean. And he pulls in 4 more women just as broken as she is. Edna, Quinta, Catherine, Albina. Each one proof this wasn't bad luck, this was a pattern. And patterns don't disappear just because someone's dying at the wrong speed. People needed a name for what was happening, so they gave them one. The Radium Girls. Newark, 1928. The women don't walk into the courthouse. They're carried in, wrapped in bandages and exhaustion, their jaws braced, their bodies already halfway out of the fight. Nobody talks. Even the reporters know better than to fill that silence. The company's lawyers drag their feet, file motions, stall hearings, anything to buy time, because they all know the ugliest truth in the room. The longer this takes, the fewer plaintiffs there will be. It's not a defense strategy, it's a countdown. When Grace testifies, her voice isn't loud or dramatic. It's thin, worn, and honest in the way people get when they're too tired to lie. And she just tells them what happened, step by step, like she's reading off the last page of her own autopsy. No embellishment, no theatrics. And the doctors back her because the evidence doesn't care who signs the paychecks. Every x-ray, every report, every bone sample points in the same direction, and none of it favours the men in suits. They don't argue the science, they just try to outrun it. The case doesn't end with a verdict. It ends the way most fights with big companies do, in a quiet back room with a number on a piece of paper and no one stupid enough to call it justice. $10,000 each, money that looks big in a headline and small everywhere else. It buys treatment, it buys time, but it doesn't buy back a jaw or a spine or the years the paint already carved out of them. The real impact isn't in the payout, it's in the fact that for the first time, anyone with a badge or a title was forced to say the quiet part out loud. The company caused this, and lying didn't change a damn thing. It wasn't victory, but it was the first time the truth made it onto the record. Grace doesn't recover. Bodies don't walk back from this kind of damage, no matter what doctors mutter when they're out of ideas. And by 1933 she's simply run out of anything left to fight with. She dies at 34, a young age on paper, an old age in suffering. There's no revelation waiting for her at the end, no neat truth surfacing at the last second, just a life grinding down under a weight she never signed up for. She slips out of the world quietly, and the world barely pauses long enough to notice. No reckoning, no justice. Justice, come on. She held on longer than the system ever did. Funny how the wrong side always gives out first.